What is good, Ninja? OG over here from PlayerEssence, and welcome to the repeat Nintendo Switch and discussion videos. So, in my last video, I talked about how we need to embrace the change as far as getting more third-party games and kind of embrace what's going on with games being released right next to each other, whether it's a big first-party game or a big third-party game or two big first-party games, and mix and match all you want to. And that went over really well. I think a lot of people in the comment section saw what I was saying, because in my previous video before that one, so 2 videos ago, I had quite a number of people calling Bethesda morons and saying that Nintendo's stupid for doing this and that because they have that mentality that we can't get more than one big game every single month, otherwise there's going to be panic and problems and people can't have options. We should just have one game that everyone needs to focus on, and that mentality needs to be absolutely shattered if you want to progress as far as going forward with the Nintendo Switch. And I think that a lot of people understood what I was saying, and if they were on one side of the fence, they definitely went over to my side as far as that goes. But now we've had a new situation come up, because there have been a number of people, and the same thing that happened when Metroid Prime 4 was announced. We had YouTubers, we had people that are trying to take credit for something that they shouldn't be taking credit for. They're trying to rewrite history in a way that they see fit from their own mind perspective. Now, everyone is entitled to their opinion. That's fine. I have no problem, with people with their opinions. But let's not get facts out of the way in order to talk about your opinion, because the facts are, and no shots to Rich from Review Tech. I think he has a good channel. Obviously, he's doing very well. But the one thing that I would want to say, as far as his latest video that he did, saying like, "Dear Nintendo fanboys, you're welcome for the third-party support." No, Rich, people complaining about Wii U third-party support, you guys aren't the reason why the Switch is getting some third-party support. You're not the reason why, and the reason why you're not the reason why is because Nintendo actually pursued third-party developers as hard, if not harder, on the Wii U initially than the Nintendo Switch. There are actually a number of games that Nintendo specifically went out there and sought out to get on the system. Not only that, but also showed off the game, whether it was during their E3 press conference or even having a completely separate presser before this launched in order to reveal those games or reveal these big Western games. Now, let's talk about a few games, because I'm someone who covered the Nintendo Wii U. I have a lot of the games. I've seen what Nintendo does. I remember all of these things, and I think with some of these people, I think they just don't remember what's going on as far as trying to take credit, saying, "Oh, well, we're the ones who complained, so Nintendo listened to me, listened to us, and did this." No, Nintendo has always pursued third-party hard. Let's talk about a few games first. Even dating all the way back to the GameCube, Nintendo pursued third-party games. They went out there and got a completely custom-made version of Metal Gear Solid out there through Silicon Studio. And yeah, they did that. And they also did stuff like Beautiful Joe as well. They also pursued Resident Evil 4 to get that game as a timed exclusive as well. So there were numerous games that Nintendo did this with throughout the years, especially starting from the GameCube and on, where Nintendo would pursue these developers. But even outside of that, that's just a small slice. We can talk about what Nintendo did with the Wii U at the beginning, because there were actually more major Western, as far as big third-party games on the Wii U in the first 9 months than we're seeing with the Nintendo Switch. And I'll tell you the reason why the Nintendo Switch is getting so much more credit than the Wii U in a bit. But let's go over some of the things even in the first year that we saw on the Nintendo Wii U. So Nintendo went after Sonic. They got 2 exclusive Sonic games. This one came out in the first year or so, before the first year, because I know Sonic, I think, came out in October, I think, of 2013. So within that first year, they went out there, got a Sonic game. On top of that, they went out there and paid Platinum Games for the wonderful 101. They were with Ubisoft as far as getting stuff like Splinter Cell. This is all within the first year of the Nintendo Wii U, guys, because it launched at the end of 2012. Alright, so this is all within the first year. Pretty much the same time frame that we're going to be seeing with a lot of these games when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. Alright, Nintendo went out and pursued and actually probably paid for development of a lot of these different games here as far as porting goes. They advertised stuff like Batman Arkham City as well, the Armored Edition here, okay? They had a failed deal with EA, but EA still brought stuff like Mass Effect 3, Madden, and also FIFA to the Nintendo Wii U at the launch of the system. 3 games from EA. That was the workings of a deal between Nintendo and between EA before things kind of fell through, but they still got those 3 games. Now on top of that, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate as well, a Monster Hunter game within the first few months. This launched in Japan on the system and then came out in March of 2013. So within that time frame, the same time frame that we're seeing for the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo specifically went out there as far as a press conference and showed off Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on the Nintendo Wii U. They specifically showed this game off. In addition to showing this game off, they also showed off Bayonetta at that same one. So they revealed Bayonetta, they showed off Nintendo Land, and they also showed off Call of Duty as far as the asymmetrical multiplayer and stuff like that. So they were really pushing for these games. All of these games that I'm talking about, third-party games, they were really pushing. Nintendo even went as far as to publish, guys, not just help fund, but to publish this game, distribute the discs and everything. You know what I'm saying? You even got like a little Nintendo code with this one. Usually you don't get that with third-party games, but with this one you got it. Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge, you got that with this one because Nintendo published this, okay, in North America. So they really wanted to have a mature type of game. They really wanted to have a variety of different types of games. You're seeing all the stuff here that Nintendo was pursuing, talking to these third-party developers in order to get these games on the Wii U. On top of that, we have stuff like Zombie U as well that Nintendo worked with Ubisoft in order to get on the system. It doesn't just stop with there, guys. Even within the first year and a half-ish or so, stuff like Resident Evil Revelations from Capcom. In addition to Deus Ex Human Revolution, the director's cut as far as from Square Enix as well. Nintendo even did more than that though as far as pursuing third-party developers. We saw this game very early in the life as far as with the Nintendo Wii U. Obviously, Tokyo Mirage Sessions turned out to be a very different game and it got delayed quite a bit and all that, but we first saw what this game originally was back in 2013, January 2013 at that Direct, because Nintendo was working with Atlas in order to try to get a game. They were pursuing third-party developers. They were pursuing third-party games. On top of that, stuff like picking up Devil's Third. Once again, they pursued this game very early, but it just took a while to get this game, you know, coming out. And obviously, it wasn't the best game out there. But what I'm trying to show is that Nintendo really went hard after third-party developers in the Wii U era. Like, they really did. The only difference as far as what's happening at this point and what's happening like now with the Nintendo Switch is that the Nintendo Switch is a popular system. It is a popular system. Nintendo actually slowed down when it comes to these third-party developers and which Western games that we're getting, because the Wii U had more. The Wii U definitely had more within the first year or so. I can guarantee you're going to see more as far as Wii U Western support, bigger games, stuff that I didn't even talk about, like Need for Speed Most Wanted as well. There were even more games as far as what Nintendo and third-party developers worked on for the Wii U that released, but they just kind of flopped and the system just wasn't successful. Nintendo this time said, okay, well, we're going to take care of things ourselves and we're going to get more style games that we know our audience are going to buy, whether it's Minecraft, whether it's stuff like Street Fighter or Disgaea or whatever the case is. Nintendo was more smart about it. They put more of their first party games and they picked their partners a lot better, and that's the reason why Nintendo's getting more credit at this point. It's twofold, okay, because there's less games when it comes to major third party. Now there's been more games overall, but that's because indie developers have had an easier time developing on the system, and the system itself is easier hardware to work with. So I'm not going to thank YouTubers for Nintendo making a hybrid device when pretty much all of us we're all saying, no, we don't want this hybrid device, including Rich and other people that are saying, oh, you have me to thank for complaining. Well, you did not want a hybrid device in the first place, and that's part of the reason why the Switch is selling so well. Okay, so we can thank Nintendo for that hybrid device idea, not YouTubers complaining. So that's the thing that I want to say. The biggest difference is that the Wii U was just not popular. The Nintendo Switch is popular. It has better hardware to work with, and Nintendo picked their partners better. Picking Bethesda over EA was a good idea. Picking Bethesda over like Activision with Call of Duty. Yes, Call of Duty's great. We all know Call of Duty, it's great, but is it the best for Nintendo to have in the first year? Is it 100% needed in order to do well? Absolutely not. Stuff like Doom, stuff like LA Noire and Skyrim are probably going to have a bigger impact than what Call of Duty can do on a Nintendo platform, because I think Nintendo fans are more in tune or would want those games more. We've always wanted Skyrim, we've always wanted RPGs and bigger adventures on the system, and Doom is one one of those games that I think kind of speaks to the core gamer in there, and we've seen Doom before on Nintendo platforms, and people like Doom, they like it, and obviously they're more excited, from what I can see, they're more excited for Doom than they are for something like Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty. So all Nintendo did was pick their partners a little bit better when it came to who they were going to funnel money to in order to bring over ports, and they made sure that they got Japanese developers on board, whether it was Koei Tecmo or anything like that. Yes, we've got Hyrule Warriors, which Nintendo pursued as well, but this time they doubled down and put Fire Emblem Warriors in the first year, and on top of that got other Koei Tecmo games like Knights of Azure 2, and there's some other Dynasty Warriors games coming out, and there's even going to be Attack on Titan 2 on the Nintendo Switch. So overall, yes, I do feel that the Nintendo Switch has more third party when it comes to the global scale, but if you're talking about Nintendo pursuing bigger Western games, because that's where a lot of these people that are saying, oh, you can thank me, it's all because of the Wolfenstein 2 announcement, LA Noire, Doom. These 3 or 4 games are spurring these videos, but if you look back at the Wii U, Nintendo pursued way more than 3 or 4 games and released way more than 3 or 4 major third-party games. I just went over a whole bunch of them, and like I said, I'm missing a number of titles in there. I didn't even talk about the Assassin's Creed that the Wii U got. Within 1 year, the Wii U got multiple Assassin's Creed games as well. Now, I understand, guys, I've already made multiple videos talking about how some of these ports necessarily weren't up to snuff, but what I'm talking about here is that the pursuit. People are saying, oh, well, it's because I complained, or because we complained, you know, and they didn't listen to the Nintendo fanboys as far as third party. Nintendo's never been listening to them, okay, or listening to those people out there. Nintendo never has. It's not because of you. Nintendo has always tried to pursue, even coming off of the highly successful Wii, they pursued third party, and I just proved that with all of these games here. All these developers didn't just make games for the Wii U out of the kindness of their heart. Money was exchanged, deals were made. Nintendo pursued a lot of these games, and in particular with Devil's Third and Tokyo Mirage Sessions and Zombie U and some of these other stuff, Nintendo went even a step further to making sure that it was on their system. Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge, it's just these games ultimately aren't quite as good when it comes to things, not Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but some of these other ones, they just don't have as much impact when your system's not popular. Now, if the Wii U was a success, let's just say these third-party games sold, there would have been a lot more third-party games on the system. Part of the reason why the Nintendo Switch is getting announcement after announcement is because the system, it's because of the install base. If the Wii U's install base rose up as much as the Switch's, then we would have gotten more games on the system. We would have definitely gotten more games on the system. That's how it works. It's not based on people crying and complaining, but the system can fail. The system can completely fail, and developers will be like, oh, well, people are crying and complaining, we'll still put it out. No, that's not the case at all. That is not the case at all. It's based on system sales. It's based on business. By 2015, Nintendo had already told some people, some developers, that they're working on their next new system. That's why Dragon Quest XI was announced for the Nintendo Switch back in like 2015. So people just stopped developing on the system because the system sales weren't there. The money was not there. So that's the reason why third-party developers left. Not because people were complaining that Nintendo didn't want third-party developers on the Wii U. They wanted that. It's just, people need to stop taking credit for stuff that they didn't do, okay? Nintendo went out there and pursued these third-party developers when it came to the Wii U, when it came to the GameCube, when it came to the Wii, when it came to anything. They went out there and pursued it. Now, I will admit that Nintendo is probably doing a little bit more this generation as far as the variety, mature games and things like that with Japanese developers. They're doing a lot more with Japanese developers as far as getting more games on the system. I'll admit that, but to sit here and say Nintendo is not pursuing, or that we have to thank people who complained and that spurred Nintendo to get stuff like Doom and Wolfenstein and all that, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous to think that all Nintendo did was pick their partners a little bit better as far as who they're going to give money to, and Nintendo decided that, hey, since we have a hybrid system, we're going to make this thing more popular in Japan, so we also need Japanese support. Because the Wii U kind of lacked Japanese support, and we saw that Japanese support on the 3DS made the system successful. So many different Japanese third-party games came to the system, where Western developers, not so much. So guys, look, not trying to take shots at anybody who's trying to say this, but anyone on YouTube that's trying to take credit for third-party support on the Nintendo Switch because they complained and they didn't look at the actual facts as far as what Nintendo's done before. I'm sorry, but I can't agree with that. Not necessarily saying that you're 100% wrong or anything like that, but I'm just saying that the facts as far as what Nintendo's done before, as far as what we saw in the Wii U, as far as the pursuit there, that pretty much stands above people's opinion. I think the facts that if the Nintendo Wii U was successful, that would be a fact. If this system was successful and the game sold, we would have saw more. We saw developers come outright and say, well, the reason why we're not putting out more because stuff isn't selling. Ubisoft said that very thing, okay? But if the system sold, if the game sold, then you definitely would have saw more on the Wii U. It's not because people were complaining, so therefore that Nintendo said, okay, here we go. So yeah, that's my take on it, guys. I'm using the facts. I'm using what we've seen before. I'm using what Nintendo has done. Nintendo's actually publishing things when it comes to the Wii U compared to the Switch. So yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock into some people trying to take credit just because they complained and now the Nintendo Switch is doing better when it comes to third party. And no, that's not it's not because you guys complained at all. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of PlayerEssence across the interwebs in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon page, pledge any tier. Be entered into win some awesome prizes each month and prized eShop tournaments. Also, make sure you check out our brand new YouTube live gaming page and consider sponsoring PlayerEssence. When you do so, it works very much like Twitch, so where you can earn custom emotes themed to this channel, plus get entered into my friends list to participate in tournaments. So check out the link in the description below. Consider sponsoring PlayerEssence right here on YouTube Gaming Live. Also, make sure you hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next video. Peace.